Hi, hi, hi. Welcome to the first webinar of the month of September, September 5th today on Webinars That Inspire. With today's topic, Stop Procrastinating, Start Creating. I am Aditi Nirvan. I'm a transformation mentor, a therapist, an artist, and an entrepreneur. And this month we have the theme called Creating a Life and Business That You Love. How do you go about creating that life and business that you love? So there are a total of 4 webinars this month. And each of these topics leads up to how you can create the kind of business that you would like to have in your life that would support the kind of life you'd like to have. So generally what we tend to do is we tend to create a business and then we tend to create a life. And the two of them don't kind of merge, or they don't kind of complement each other. So how do you start to create a business that supports the kind of life that you would like to have, which goes down to basically the kind of person that you are? So this is something that I have been trying to figure out for the last 3 years now. And thanks to it, I have moved almost 100% of my work online. So now I can pretty much be in any part of the world and still do my work and earn my money. So, in the first of this series for this month is the topic, because a lot of people who have a lot of plans in their head, there are a lot of desires, there are dreams, there are vision that they have about what they'd like to do, but they just can't seem to get up off their butts and get to doing it. And why does that happen? How can we work around it? How can we change it? So today's webinar again is about stopping to procrastinate and starting to create the life that you desire. So we have 5 sections in the webinar today. The first one is, how does procrastination show up for you? Meaning, how does it look like? What does it look like in your life? The second is the real reasons why we procrastinate at all. And this should give you a little better insight into yourself. The third section is, what is the solution or the antidote to procrastination? What can you do instead of procrastinating? And it's a conscious choice that you're going to have to continue to make in your life. What are the ways that you can change your mindset in a way that you never have to procrastinate again? And the last section of the webinar is the question and answers. I do encourage that we have a chat window for this webinar, so please go ahead, ask your questions there in between. I will keep checking it. Meanwhile, I will focus on having to share with you everything that I'm here to share with you today. So let's dive into the first section, which is, how does procrastination show up? So what is procrastination actually? So procrastination is where you're supposed to do something, and that it's probably time bound, or maybe not even time bound. You're supposed to do something, but you can't seem to get up and get to doing it. Or perhaps you start doing it and then you leave it midway. There is no feeling in it, there is no sense that you want to actually do it. Um, this happens to a lot of us. So even the people who are supposedly the most successful people in the world, the ones that are supposedly extremely disciplined, so it becomes a bit of a problem, because there are a lot of tasks that get left that are undone, and it trails off. You sometimes forget about it. So how do you procrastinate? So let's take a look at the ways in which we all procrastinate. Just a minute. Okay, there are a couple of people here who haven't received the link to this. So let me just send this to them so that they can join in. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so let's get back to the topic. So how does procrastinate typically show up for you? So you have a plan and you have an idea that, or you have an awareness that this is what you're supposed to do next, but you can't seem to get to doing it, right? We already covered that. There are so many times that you even sit to execute a certain plan or do a certain task, and something comes in the way, or you are distracted maybe by hunger. You want some munchies, or you see a cute animal or a lovely bird at the window, and you suddenly remember that you have to return a phone call, or return a text, or probably order something online. That Amazon sale is still on, or that Flipkart sale is still on, and you want to get to it before it ends. And possibly even, just look out of the window and look into the sky or look at the rain and contemplate on life. So there could be 1,000 distractions that happen that don't allow you to go through with your plan. Maybe you feel that, oh, I want to do this, but I don't feel that I'm enough to do it, or that I have studied enough to do it, or I have done enough research to do it. Maybe I should watch some more videos about it, or maybe I should discuss it with 10 other people, and get feedback from other people. So when you finally park yourself at your desk to try and finish the task at hand, you're still not feeling enough in order to create it. So there is that feeling of not being enough, and that can really come in the way of handling stuff in your life. Um, so it seems like an eternity at times that you're trying to get through to a task, but you probably want to keep taking breaks because you've researched that you shouldn't be working 4 or 5 hours straight. That, but it's actually been just 5 minutes. So you'll find a lot of delay tactics that your mind plays. You'll find 1,000 reasons why you don't want to do it. Um, but all you actually need is just one reason to get around to doing it. And we're going to talk about that now. So, the reason why we don't actually get to something is because we don't know what our why is. That is the WHY. The why is the reason why we do anything, meaning that, for example, okay, so the work that I do, I do therapy, I take classes with people, I do these webinars with you guys, I do something called Ask Me Anything on Thursdays on Instagram and Facebook Live. So my main reason for doing what I do, my why, is because it is deeply fulfilling for me to share. It's one of my top 5 values. Sharing is one of my top 5 values. But here's the interesting part. I have 10,000 reasons why I don't want to do it. And the one of the 10,000 reasons is that I actually am not a very social person. um, I know it's a very strange thing for a therapist to be. Like, you are interested in people, but you're actually not interested in people. You want to be with people, but you actually don't want to be with people. So the thing is that with this kind of a procrastination energy, you start to believe 10,000 reasons why you can't actually do what you want to do. And the only reason that I know that I want to do this is because I know that for me, sharing is the most critical thing in the world. It is so important that it comes way above all those other reasons why I am saying no to this. So being an introvert, for me, it's really difficult to work through that energy. So the best part about my online business today is this, that I don't have to interact with people constantly in person. So I'm one of those people for whom social distancing really works very well. um, and thanks to social distancing, and thanks to the lockdown, thanks to corona, there are 1,000 reasons why I am doing much better today at my work, because my why has come into focus. What is that why? That the need to share, the need to share with people, the need to lighten up people's lives, the need to inspire people, the need to be there for people as a support through a very, very difficult time where people are truly struggling with a lot in their life. And it gives me a great amount of joy. So I keep my why in focus. And it is the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning, when you keep your why in focus. So keep your why in focus, not a how. It's not about, oh, how do I get out of procrastination? No, it's more about, why do I get out of procrastination? Give me one good, solid reason why I should be out of procrastination. You need to find that reason for yourself. It's very critical that you do. So let's look at what actually stops you from getting to this. There is a beautiful quote by Marianne Williamson. I don't know if you guys are familiar with who she is. She's been a author and a spiritual leader for probably about 20-25 years, and she features on Oprah Winfrey's list of top 100 influential spiritual teachers in the world. Marianne Williamson also participated until last year in the US presidential race for 2020, but she dropped out due to personal reasons. And there's an amazing quote that she has said that somewhere deeply resonated with me when I heard it a few years ago. And I realized that, this is probably going to be the one thing that I'm going to have to work through the most. And the reason why I'm sharing all this with you is that I really hope that that does that for you. So the quote is this, that our deepest fear is not that we are not enough or that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are actually powerful beyond measure. Yes. So the fact is that you are not afraid of not being enough or anything of that sort. You are actually afraid that you are really, really great at something, but you don't know what that something is. You've never bothered to find out what that something is. All you've done is fear and run in the opposite direction and found thousand reasons why you don't want to get to it instead of that one reason why you do want to get to it. And sorry, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So what tends to happen is when our why is not in focus, procrastination becomes a deeply subconscious tactic. It becomes a ploy, it becomes a play from our mind to delay our own power, meaning delay stepping into our own power, getting into our own power, and having that success and that greatness that we actually richly deserve. We start to use procrastination as a weapon against ourselves. You start to feel sort of like an internal pressure, that when you're successful at something, uh, maybe you're successful at something once, maybe you tried something once, and then you feel that, oh my God, I went through so much struggle to get to that I'm going to have to keep struggling constantly to keep having that again and again. So you kind of keep like an internal pressure going on, thinking that, oh my God, every time this has to become a success or this has to work, I'm going to have to really be that, bullock in the fields, plowing, that uh, without that kind of level of hard work again and again and again and again, it's not going to be successful. But what you fail to remember at that point is if you've done it once, it means it's going to start coming naturally to you. And you don't have to struggle as much as you did the first time. The second time around will be easier because you've learned what not to do and you've learned what to do. So please start to trust yourselves when it comes to doing something. And if you've been successful at one thing, you don't necessarily have to be successful at it again. When we start to measure life from a point of view of success and failure, um, trust me, you will actually never get around to doing anything. But if you start to measure your life from a point of play and discovering and experimenting and finding out, like how you did things when you were a kid. Hey, let's go there and see what happens, and then you run off and then you go there and this is so cool. I didn't even know I could do this. And you remember that energy that you had when you were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and you want to tap back into that energy. You want to find that energy again, that hunger, that curiosity, that the why is this like this? I want to know more, you know? And that's a part of you discovering so much more about yourself. And procrastination is the biggest barrier that's never going to allow you to do it, because the moment you reach this plateau of procrastination, you're going to hit things like fear of success, fear of failure, fear of imperfection, which is a very, very big one. Okay. So please understand that procrastination is never about being lazy. It's never about lying on the couch and going, oh my God, I know I have to do this today. But I'm just like, nah, it's not that. Okay. There is something going on much deeper inside. You haven't found that one get up and go, and that one get up and go is your why. Why do you want to do this? Keep that in focus. Write it, put it like a blinking billboard in your house. Let it blink 24 hours in your face. Let it be a constant reminder that this is what you're here for. And be passionate and be driven towards it. When you keep your why in focus, everything starts to shift. So let's take a look at the three monsters that are actually what procrastination is about. So the first big monster is the fear of success. Yes, fear of success is a very, very big reason why we procrastinate. Why? Simply because all of us can't be bothered with doing too much of hard work. And that's what we think we have to do. Like I discussed earlier, you think you got it right once, you think you became successful once, you decided that you're going to have to do it again and again and again and again and again. Okay. It's like in the past, you've had chances to see success very swiftly once you decided to move or make a decision or a choice. That things just transpired and got created somehow. Think about those magical moments, okay, instead of thinking of the ones where you have to really struggle to get something. So that's probably not what you're supposed to do. I never ever feel that anything that happens for your best needs struggle. Things that are miraculous, things that are amazing, things that are smooth happen to you actually through a very effortless phase. It's like, that jigsaw piece. You become that piece of puzzle that just plop fits in, and it has to be that easy. And if it's not that easy, you are probably barking up the wrong tree. I'm not saying that what you're probably doing for a living right now is bad. It's possible that you've also struggled a lot and come to where you are, but that daily struggle is what stops you from doing it again tomorrow. And that's what I'm talking about, that is what leads to procrastination, because you have to keep pushing yourself. Anything that is meant for you is going to be effortless. It's going to come to you so naturally. I remember when I was a very small kid, I started talking late. But when I did start talking, of course, I didn't stop. And in order to get attention of my family members at home, I would stack up books. Yeah, books is something that I was fond of uh, since I was very little. I was an only child till the age of about almost 8, and then my sister came. So books is something that I were my best friends. So I used to stack up books, and I used to stand on top of those books, and I used to go and get, like, I don't know, pieces of clothing from my mom's and shoes and earrings and, wear all of that, like really jazzed up. And I would talk gibberish to an invisible audience. Okay. I was doing this when I was like 1.5, 2 years old. Yeah. And I remember that. And my mom and dad would watch me and they would joke about me. And they told me this much later, that this girl is going to either become a lawyer or a politician, or she's going to become a speaker of sorts or something. So talking to a large audience is something that came naturally to me. It's something I was born with. And I didn't realize it much later in life, till I was in my late 20s, that this is actually one of the things that came super easy for me. And the other thing was that I was always there for my friends. I was always that go-to person, that person with whom they had a shoulder to cry on, the one that whose nerves I would soothe. If they were traumatized, they would come to me, we would talk, I would listen. I would be their friend in need. I would always be everybody's 4 a.m. friend. Until date, I have a lot of people in my life who call me their best friend. I personally don't have a best friend from my point of view. I feel everyone is precious. But for them, I am their best friend. And I realize that that's a quality that I seem to inherently have, is to be there for people and help people work through things. So why am I telling you all of this about myself? The reason is that these things were effortless. And I realized that my entire work, my life's work, was fully based on who I am as a person. And therefore, it has to be effortless. And which is why, because it comes to me naturally and because it is effortless, I never procrastinate. It always gets me up in the morning because it's natural. Who the hell wants to put in any kind of effort here? So that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is to do with your life purpose. Now, how do you deal with things that are not a part of your life purpose? Like, you have to wash the dishes and all of that. The only antidote that you have to that is discipline. So I will talk about discipline a little later on, but I want to focus on these few things: that the fear of imperfection, the fear of success, and the fear of failure. So, fear of failure, we all understand that you don't want to be judged. But the interesting part is that fear of failure isn't actually about the failure itself. It is Fear of failure actually happens because you are very, very concerned about what people think about you. So it's not actually failure, because if there was nobody else in the world and you were the only person doing what you were doing, would you even care about the fear of failure? No, you wouldn't, because failure is a perception that other people have of what you are. If people didn't exist, you wouldn't have the fear of failure. So here's the thing: It's not a fear of failure, it's the fear of what people will think. And yes, even though you may think that you're not one of those kind of people that cares about what people think, but if you have the fear of failure, you are one of those people that has a fear of what people will think. So you need to start unhooking from that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a very interesting example of somebody who had both the fear of success and the fear of failure. I have this friend who I've known for about 16 years now. He's an incredibly successful businessman, like hugely successful. Um, he did something purely for fun about 16 years ago. Sorry, about 10 years ago. He did something purely for fun and he made a video out of it and he put it on YouTube. And it went completely viral. It went crazy. They were like, I think within a couple of weeks, there were a million hits on it. And then he got requests from people he didn't know to do it for him, to do it for them. And they started throwing money at him. So you see, the thing is, he seemed to be doing this very naturally. Okay. And people picked that up. People picked up on the fact that he's really good at this. They started throwing money at him. So he had business even before he had business. Okay. And he was doing it all for fun. He had to hire a lot of people. And I think within 2 months, he had an office space. Within 6 months, he had bought his first BMW. And within a year, he had bought two houses. And that's how fast it went. He had a baby very quickly. He got married. The baby came before the marriage. Um, and everything was happening. Like he was alive. He was in the middle of everything. And then something very, very strange happened. About 5 years ago, there was trouble in his marriage. He started getting addicted to drugs. He started getting addicted to alcohol and nicotine. And he stopped having fun in what he was doing. And when I met him at that time, I kept asking him, what's going on with both of you? I mean, why are you both at each other's neck? You know, why is this marriage collapsing? Do you guys not want to stay together? And they had a lot of issues between them. And then she left him with the baby, and then she, left and she went to another country. He developed lung cancer. He was in the hospital for a while, and then people started leaving him at work, his staff. It's weird, for years he loved the whole creative process of what he was doing. He loved every bit of it because he was so good at it. He had completely jumped in. And when all of this happened, he actually realized that he told me one day, he said, I think I've created a monster. I have created a monster and I'm trying in every way to stop it in the form of creating this cancer. I've got these half a dozen addictions. I have personal battles with my family. I have monetary issues. Although he was making a lot of money, he was also in debt at the same time. So, mismanagement of funds, poor staff retention, that he had to say no to some extremely wealthy and influential clients. And he was making some very poor friends. Most of his friends at that time were drug addicts. And finally, to put the nail in the coffin, he was detected with clinical depression. So, as you can see, that was spiraling out of success. Yeah. I asked him what's going on with all of that. He said it stopped being fun for me. It stopped being a creative process. It became drudgery. It became managing an empire. It became managing people. And he said something very interesting. He said, I now have a choice to either shut shop, pay off people and pay off everything, or open up 4 branches in 4 countries. And he took about a month to discuss that. And I sat with him throughout that time. And here's the interesting thing, he began procrastinating. We both realized it and we spoke about it. And I said, what is making you procrastinate? He said, I've lost the reason why I've done this. So I took him back to the first video that he made. And we went through that whole process like not under hypnosis, but like a nice visualization, a nice visit through what he had done. And it was beautiful because he reconnected with that spark, that energy, and he realized why he was doing what he was doing. He did the next quick thing. He went and he hired a person who would manage his business because he didn't want to manage his business. That's not what he wanted to do. He actually wanted to keep creating. And that's the kind of a person he was. He is an extremely creative person, bless his soul. So here's the best part. Even people like Steve Jobs, after a certain point of time, they don't want to manage their business. They want to hire a person who's good at managing a business. Why? Because they want to focus on the creative aspect. They want to keep innovating. And you do then what you need to do. So why am I giving you all of this example? That even if you do become successful, you do not have to take a step back and start to thrash your own business, or start to procrastinate in a way that it creates a blockage and doesn't allow your business to grow anymore. What you can do is hire people or collaborate with people who would take care of those aspects of your business while you can focus on the creative aspect, if that is what you want. So instead of stopping it, instead of killing your own success, get smart and figure out ways how to manage it. And this could apply to a big business, or this could apply to just washing your dishes at home. Be smart. Like my son, who is now almost 11 years old, I told, it's time you started learning how to wash the dishes. And I show him a couple of times. Now he does it. He goes and washes the dishes. You load the washing machine, you put the clothes out to dry. Delegate your jobs. Yeah. And for me, it's also very critical that I don't have a sexist attitude about, men are supposed to do this, women are supposed to do this. I told him that if you want to go to college one day, and you want to study abroad one day, then you're going to have to keep a home and keep a dorm room or whatever it is, and you're going to have to manage all of these things. Because if you don't know the basics of home skills, how are you going to be an innovator? How are you going to be a businessman? How are you going to be an architect, or whatever it is that you want to do? Yeah. Home skills, learn your home skills, learn your outside skills. So look at it from the point of view that these are things that you need to do in order for you to be able to learn something new, in order for you to be able to focus on your own soul, focus on your own discipline. A lot of people don't exercise, for example, and they're lazy. They take gym memberships, and then they don't go to the gym after a month, maybe even after 2 days, and they've paid for the whole year. If you actually go to a gym and you ask them, they'll say 70% of the members paid and they don't come to the gym anymore. And that's how gyms make a lot of money. They take almost 5 times the capacity of the gym. We take as many members as 5 times the capacity of a gym, and they make a tremendous amount of money simply because so many people don't show up. And the reason why people don't show up is because they've forgotten their why. You think you want to go there to lose weight, or you think you want to go there to be fit. No, the real reason why you want to work out is because working out teaches you how to be focused. It teaches you how to be disciplined. It teaches you how to be incredibly aware of what's going on in your body and what's going on in your mind. These are the unspoken benefits of exercise, and these are the real why. Because when you have this, you will never lose perspective of why you're headed there, because your weight is going to fluctuate, the way your body looks is going to fluctuate, you are going to age, your body is going to look different, but your why will never change. Okay, so please remember that why is something that never will change throughout your whole life. So keep your why in focus and you will never procrastinate again. So the fear of imperfection, let's come to the last one, the last section of this one. Okay, so fear of imperfection here is the fear of also being seen as a failure, but on a smaller scale, meaning that you keep looking at your own work and you keep saying, oh, you know, if this is not how it should be, then it's not right. Then people will see, or I will see, or somebody will see that this isn't working. That means it's a failure, meaning then there's no point in doing it. I don't want to do it if it's not going to come out perfect. But guess what? Perfection isn't going to come unless you jump into it. That's the funny thing. Uh, it's something that a lot of people do. So here's the interesting part. All experts in the world will tell you that nobody started off perfect. They just started with what they had and they learned everything along the way. And till today, although they're called experts by other people, they themselves do not call themselves experts. The reason being that for them, their entire life is a learning process. They've learned from the last mistake they made and they're going to learn from the next one that they make. And they know that failure and mistakes is all a part of them being an expert. If you genuinely want to be an expert in a certain area, you've got to be willing to make mistakes and own those mistakes and say, hey, guess what? That was a total cock up. I completely went nuts on it. I made a mistake. And if you've hurt somebody, apologize. If you've not hurt anybody. It's a great learning anyway. Okay, so please understand there is no such thing as perfection. There is experience, and then there is wisdom, and then there is hitting expertise levels, because you have this phenomenal combination of experience and wisdom. But none of that will come unless you actually make a start with whatever that you have right now. Okay, now, if you truly want to create a life that you love and a business that you love, I suggest that you take up three hobbies. Okay. Why? Because if you take it as a hobby, then these are things that you are going to love, and you would do them anyway. Okay. The first hobby that you will pick up is for your creative juices to flow. So whether it is art or storytelling or story writing, it's crochet work, needlework, anything that quietens your mind and engages your heart and your hands. Okay, it can be cooking, it can be baking, it can be anything that juices up your creativity. That's your first hobby. Okay, your second hobby is something that keeps your mind and your body fit. You figure out how you want to move. Like I said earlier, a lot of people don't exercise because they think that it's about losing weight and being fit and not getting a disease or whatever it is. No, that's not the reason. Exercise and mindfulness or meditation teaches us a bunch of things. Yeah, they make us a certain kind of energy that we need to be in order to be successful in our life. So learn what they are there to teach you. Okay, so find out what is your movement mojo. How do you want to move your body? You want to do strength training, you want to do workouts, you want to run, you want to walk, you want to do yoga, whatever it is. It makes no difference what it is, as long as you take your second hobby as what you want to do. The third hobby that you're going to pick up is the one that's going to make you money. Why am I calling it a hobby? Simply because you would take it up anyway, even if it wasn't making you money. So what is that one thing that you would still do even if it never made you money? This is a question I asked myself 15 years ago, and I discovered that this is what I want to do. That what I'm doing today is really what I want to do. And I would do it even if it wasn't making money. So here we go. These webinars that Inspire aren't making me any money. In fact, they're costing me money to have, but I do it anyway because it gives me such tremendous joy to do it. And that joyous energy is the energy that becomes my fuel to do these thousand other things that I want to do in my daily life. So here you go. Okay. All right. Now we go into what is the antidote to procrastination. Meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, you are most welcome to put them on the chat over here. I'd be happy to look at them when we're, um, you know, during the webinar. Awesome. Okay. So, what is the number one procrastination killer? If you guys haven't guessed it till now, yes, it's discipline. Discipline is the antidote and the medicine to success. It is the antidote to procrastination, and it is the medicine to success. Hence, it is avoided like the plague, especially if you fear success or imperfection. Procrastination is sometimes so subtle in your life that you miss seeing it. You're only left to wonder, why are things not taking up? Why are things not happening? Why are they not rolling? Why am I not moving? What's wrong with me? But if you get to start to become self aware and observe a lot of your own internal dialogue, you will realize that you spend a lot of your time in going away from your focus than going towards your focus. What do I mean? So, for example, during a working day, okay, say you like checking things on social media, on other people's Facebook pages, or whatever it is, wherever that you are, you have to ask a question: is me putting my time and energy in this going to take me to where I really want to go? And if your answer is no, drop it. This is your self check. So the question, actually, I'm going to put this question in the chat. Okay. Here we go. I think this should help you guys. Is this going to take me where I want to go? Is the question. Is putting my time and energy in this going to be productive to my creative process, to my work? Here we go. All right. And the third one, am I trying to wiggle my way out of success with what I'm doing right now? So you will catch yourself if you are procrastinating. So these are the three trick questions you guys are going to ask yourself, and you're going to catch yourself red handed the next time you are procrastinating. Go and stand in front of the mirror and say, shame on you for doing this. Don't do it next time. All right. So reprimand yourselves and get yourselves thinking straight. Okay. Now, I'm going to share with you some 11 very, very basic tips on how to work your way around procrastination. First and most importantly, keep a daily to do list. When you get up in the morning, you should be knowing what is lined up for you. So you choose when you want to do this list. Okay. Second, have a daily scheduled block of time, meaning that if you say, for example, in the pandemic and the lockdown, say, for example, you do not have maid servants right now coming home. Okay. And this is primarily applicable to everyone living in India, not to my friends living overseas. So if you have that scenario, then know that, okay, from this time to this time, this block of time in the day, I'm going to spend in cooking and housework. And these are the things I want to complete. I haven't done sweeping and swabbing yesterday, so maybe it should be done today. Okay. So I don't need to water the plants every day because it's raining. I may water it maybe 3 times a week. So figure that out and get your daily schedule block of time. And when you follow a rhythm, your body starts to adjust to that rhythm and it starts going into the cells of your body. You start creating cellular memory in your body. So you will find that when you start doing this for 21 days, you will actually be able to hold it on through the rest of your life. And that's all you need. You need to hit that 21-day mark. Why? Because it takes 21 days for your new neurological pathways to form to a new habit. And that's how you're going to train yourself. You will need discipline to get there, but when you get there, it becomes a natural, effortless process. Okay, so this is one, keep a daily to do list. Two, have a daily scheduled block of time for your tasks. Three, take bigger tasks and break them up into smaller ones. If you're like me, if I look at a really big task, I tend to go, yeah, I go into a freeze. I'm like, whoa, my brain stops working. Okay, I need information in bite size to digest it, to become aware of it, and then move to the next one. So that's how I think. But maybe you don't think that way. I don't know. You know yourself better. But break up bigger tasks into smaller tasks so that they become bite size and then they become easily achievable. Okay, so you don't have like a big bullseye target to hit, you have smaller ones. So you know that bit by bit you can get there. This just makes it a lot easier. Number four, be realistic and don't seek perfection at any level. You're not here to prove perfection to anybody. You're not here to show anybody any level of perfection because nobody is perfect or everybody is imperfectly perfect. You can look at it both ways. Okay. You are doing this for yourself. Don't forget that. Number five, good nutrition. I cannot emphasize this enough. Good nutrition for brain and body. If you eat things like pizza and all of that stuff every day, you will have a brain fog. Okay. You have no idea. Refined flour, all these things have a direct impact on your brain. Okay. If you're not going to be juicing your greatest hormones, you're not going to be disciplined. You will procrastinate. Good nutrition for the mind and body so that you always remain alert and active. Number six, very, very critical, especially for everybody in India, sleep on time, sleep on time, sleep on time, sleep on time, guys, seriously. Okay. By 9 p.m. at night, your brain starts to secrete something called melatonin. Melatonin is basically that hormone that you require that makes you feel like this. That is what induces melatonin. That sleepiness, that tiredness at the end of the day, when your body is just yearning for sleep. What are we doing at that time? Yeah. Okay. Plus the blue light from this damn thing, it stops the brain from secreting melatonin. So instead of sleeping by 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., you are sleeping at 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the morning. Okay. You are completely wrecking your body's biological clock. So please stop doing it. Sleep on time. Effective time to sleep would be by 10 p.m. and waking up by 6 a.m. You have no idea how amazingly productive you can get if you get through that for 21 days. All right. Number seven, sometimes multitasking doesn't work. I know that a lot of people sell on multitasking. I personally don't endorse it. I still endorse single tasking simply because there are certain jobs where you cannot do multitasking. If you're writing something, if you're writing a story, if you're writing about a character, if you're writing about a certain topic, you cannot be thinking about something else. You have to be focusing completely there. So please figure out what are those tasks that you can do multitasking, what are those tasks that you can do single tasking. Say, for example, if I want to talk to a friend or a family member and ask them what's going on, what I tend to do is I put on my headphones, I'm in the kitchen, while I'm cooking, I catch up with them on the phone. You can do multitasking that way, but not everything. So figure out what requires multitasking and what requires single tasking. Go back to those time blocks I talked to you about, go back there and put those into it. Okay. So why am I emphasizing on all of this, guys? I don't know how many of you have had kids, but when you have kids and you have a newborn baby, your baby will become the happiest when you put it in a routine. Okay. A routine gives you a sense of safety, security, it gives you happiness. Okay. Your body loves it, absolutely loves it, and it'll thrive, it'll be alive, it'll be super healthy. And that's how babies grow. If it's applicable to you at that age, it's applicable to you even now. Okay. So don't underestimate the power of a disciplined life. I know that your parents have probably ground this into your heads, but maybe it takes me to do it again for you in order to follow it. Okay. Number 8, please say no to anything that does not match what you would like to create in your life and your business. Nothing. Say no. Say, hey, you know what? This isn't really happening for me right now. I get invitations to go for weddings and all of that. And I tell them, hey, you know what? I'm very, very weird. I'm very eccentric. I haven't attended a wedding in 25 years and I'm not going to do it now. Okay. I wish you the very best. I send a gift and I meet the couple much later for a private dinner. Yeah, that's my way of doing it. I'm not going to show the affection the same way everybody else does because I don't want to waste my time there. I have a crap load things to do and I want to stick to it. So please say no to things that are not working for you. Please don't feel compelled. Arey, I jana hi padega, I need to go. No, none of that stuff. No one's holding a gun to your head. You have the power to say no, say no. Put your foot down. Okay. Number 9, be mindful of how you are externally and what your internal dialogue is during the day. You will find yourself, I need to do this now, but I really don't feel like doing it. You're going to having a lot of those moments. Allow it for 5 minutes and say, okay, fine, I'm going to have 5 minutes of total laziness and then laze fully for 5 minutes. But in the sixth minute, get up. That's it. Allow yourself. Don't worry. Don't be disciplined to a point of being militant. Allow it. There are days where you'll not feel like doing something or you're not well, and it's okay. It's okay. The idea isn't to punish yourself or be ashamed of it. The idea is to do the best that you can. All right. Number 10, please restrict your time on social media and keep it strictly for your work. And if you don't need it, please remember that social media is not one of the number one time consumers in the world. Okay. If you guys, I don't know if it is there on Android. I'm hoping that it's there, but Apple devices do have, a time slot for productivity, and it shows you how much screen time you've spent. So please monitor yourselves, do it on your laptops, on your computers, wherever it is. Please figure out, and don't do it because it's something you need to be ashamed of. Do it because you're curious to know, I wonder how much time I spend on this crap. And take a look at it and be alarmed for a moment and say, oh my god, I could use that time to actually do these 10 things, and then do that. And that's what I'm talking about. Number 11, keep only things around you that are absolutely essential. Anything in your home or your office that you've not used from 6 months to a year, please donate it to somebody who's going to use it. Keep yourself light, keep your space light so you can function better. Okay. I don't have anything against fat people. I myself, I'm a little on the chubbier side, you could say. Yeah. Not chubby, but yeah, I could use a little more leanness in life. When you're on the heavier side, it becomes difficult to move. Yeah, you're not flexible enough, you're not fast enough, you're not quick enough. But when you're leaner and lighter, you are fast, you are flexible. Okay, if you're active, that is. And that's the same thing with life. Get leaner in every way possible. Be an essentialist. Keep only things that are absolutely needed. And all of this is so that you can avoid procrastination and genuinely create the kind of life that you would love to have. So, what's the way out to never going back to procrastination? The first is a mind shift, going from a planning and contingency mindset, and all of those big things that people sell you may not be always useful. to try and move into a more playful and creative and experimental mindset. We spoke about this a little earlier, so I'm just revisiting that. Because when you are in a playful, experimental mindset, you're not serving your fears anymore. Okay. Your fears don't become bigger than the task at hand. You become more playful and you're willing to approach things from a different level. Okay. In the next one, um, you can come up with things like, okay, let's try this, let's try this and see where it goes. When you have that kind of an attitude, your inner child is shining through. Okay. And you're not a heavy adult at that point. You're having more of fun. Okay. um, Learning to take maybe two steps, one or two new steps a day will help to keep procrastination away. So figure out what is your, what I call the mojo window, mojo window. There are certain times of the day when you're the most active, when you're the happiest, when you're the most chatty, or when you're the most productive. Yeah. And do that thing that you love doing, do it in that time window. Okay. Learn who you are and then work accordingly. Have an idea of how you would like to accomplish your goal in life, not planning it in a way that it is cast in stone. You may have a calendar, but be flexible about moving it up and down. And don't think your way through things, feel your way through things. Because when you get out of your head and get into your heart space or your gut space, that'll allow you to have a much deeper zone of awareness instead of just kind of head tripping and never letting it go anywhere. When your gut says do it, you'll do it. But if you're in your head, you may also give in to fears. So remember that as well. Keep a notepad handy. Take it with you when you travel. In fact, along with this webinar today, I'm going to give you guys a couple of really nice exercises for you to do, as in not workout exercises, but where you have to write an email to yourself. And I will send you that along with this webinar. And I think you're really going to appreciate that. Um, and then the last point that I want to cover is that it is absolutely fine if you have days or you have certain moments where procrastination happens. It's fine. You may not feel like touching your work. You may not even feel like evolving and personally growing and being disciplined and all of that. And all of it can take a back seat, and it's totally, totally fine. You don't need to stress about it. You cannot always be highly driven and consistent on a daily basis. Just like nature has its seasons, you have to figure out what your seasons are. And in your peak seasons, be the most productive, knowing fully well that in the other seasons, you're going to be relaxing a bit. Yeah. But trying to have one single season throughout the year is killing yourself. When you're way more relaxed about success and failure and perfection, procrastination will become a very, very small thing in your life. Okay. Everything starts to become less burdensome, and eventually you will start to evolve into, yeah, the greatest and the most amazing version of you that you can ever be. And it's time for you to give yourself the permission to do so. Don't you think so? Okay, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this today. And uh, oh, quite a few of you. So, do you have questions? Questions. Shilpa, I see your video is on. Do you have a question for me?
Aditi, can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clear.
Sometimes we procrastinate. I mean, they say the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Hmm.
Sometimes we procrastinate because we don't know what to do. Does that also happen?
That's not procrastination. Then that is, I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be possibly that, okay, so let me recap what you're saying in other words. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So it could be that, oh, I have this energy where I really want to do something along these lines. Yeah. But I don't know exactly what it is. Yeah. I can kind of taste it, I can feel it, but I can't see it.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's not procrastination. That's just not having clarity on what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And this is a very, very creative process. And in creativity, nothing is going to come to you before it's time. Yeah,
Noted.
just like a baby is born when it's its time to be born, the creative process or the creative birthing process is exactly the same way. It is born when it is born, and you can't do anything. You could dance thunder, you could do a tribal rain dance, it won't come till it's time to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you can do is keep plugging away and be present with that energy and stop trying to push it. In fact, maybe trying to push it might not make it clear to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't push it, just welcome it when it is supposed to come.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
It was a
Any
very
other?
it was a
Sorry.
very good session, Aditi.
Really?
Yeah,
Thank you.
loved it.
I hope it helped you guys. Okay, guys.
One
Some
Yeah, I
You
just want
have
to
another
add.
question?
I just want to add, if I can, uh,
Sure.
the first thing of discipline, which
Mm-hmm.
you quoted, has worked wonderfully well for me. I've realized that once I started having discipline in my life, almost everything started falling in place, and I no longer procrastinate. I do it when I have to do it, whatever I have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's a very weird example that I give a lot of people. One of the things that I'm damn lazy about is getting up and going to pee because it interrupts it interrupts me at the right opportune moment, and
That's
I hate it.
true for me.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, I have to pee. Like, oh my god, it's such a task. I don't want to get up and go. I'm too lazy. But there is that one point where you stop talking about it and you just go and do it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So discipline is like that. Stop talking about it and just go and do it. It's like going to pee when you go to pee and not talk about it. I know it's a weird example, but this is the one because it's something everyone relates to.
true.
Cool. Okay, guys, any more questions? No? Everyone's fine? Everyone's hunky dory and happy? Okay, I've got some private messages. Thank you for the wonderful session. Thank you for moving the slot. I moved the slot long ago. Okay, guys. Do you have any questions? Yes, the one who has messaged me privately. Okay. Okay, so our next week's session is also an interesting one. It's called Your One Thing, and your one thing is basically what the heck were you put on this earth for? What is the one thing that you are the greatest at that nobody else is as good as you in this, where you bring your personal story, your life story, your experiences, your wisdom, where you can come in and help so many other thousands of people with who you are and what you can create in the world. Okay, so I invite you to next week's webinar at the same time at 10 a.m. And we will deal with what is your one thing. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it today. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming on the webinar, and lots of hugs to all of you. Have a wonderful weekend and a great week. Just to let you guys also know that on every Thursday, I'm doing a Facebook Live at 3:30 p.m. And a Instagram Live at 3 p.m. on Thursday afternoon. So you guys can catch me there. There's no particular topic. You can ask me anything you like. All right, guys. Is it possible to be disciplined in one aspect but procrastinate in other aspects? Uh, Possibly. Yeah, you could. You could possibly be. Simply because in that one area where you are disciplined, you found your mojo, you found your why. Find your why in the other areas, Neerav, and you'll know enough then to be disciplined about it, because then your mouth is going to be just watering. You're going to be like, give it to me now, give it to me now, I want it now, it's so juicy, I want it right now, and I will do everything possible in order to have it. And you want that drive, you want that juiciness. you know how food looks on other people's table, and their food always looks better, and how your mouth salivate when something comes to someone else's table, that feeling. So you want to order exactly that, and yeah, go for it. Okay, guys, with that we come to the end of today's webinar. Have an awesome time. Bye, everyone.